say a little bit about what was achieved. There's so many circuit courts of appeals have received mindfulness, pretty significant high level trainings or presentations or workshops. Could you say just a little bit about some of those, and also how you felt going into the first one, how you felt coming out of the first one, and how that,
Well, I mean, right, even publishing the article was, I remember being kind of scared, that I felt it was really important to publish the article. It was something I really wanted to do, but I vetted it with lots of people before it ever got published. I said, is there anything in here that's, the tone's not right, or, and basically everybody I talked to said, no, you should publish this. This is worthwhile. But I did a lot of vetting before anything ever went out. And even then I said, oh, what's going to happen? So what really surprised me, and it surprised me in a good way, was that once the article went out, I started getting emails and phone calls from people all over the place, and not in the places that I would have expected necessarily. I think the first person who contacted me was a clerk of court in Indiana, and then there was a judge in Alabama, and there was a judge in Kansas, and it was like people in places that, in my own stereotypes, I guess, I didn't think would be as receptive. And said, no, this is really important. This is really, really glad you wrote this article, because this has been an important part of my life, and this is kind of validating. So that was sort of the initial response was, I'm so glad that you did this. And that I wouldn't have expected somebody in a position of that prominence to do it, to put sort of the official seal of the federal judiciary almost on mindfulness practice. And then started going around to circuit conferences, and I had some of the same trepidations there. Well, how's it going to be received? And the first one we did, I think, and I kind of lost track of what the sequence was, but I think the first one was in the Ninth Circuit, which is where I'm from, so people knew me. And it's the West Coast mostly, and some of the mountain states. But we had a really successful presentation, and hundreds of people were there, and the feedback was extremely positive, and they thought it was really one of the best sessions they'd had heard in a long time. And what all of us did, I was the moderator actually, and then we had people from different walks of life. We had a lawyer and a retired judge and a Air Force colonel, and just people who had done different things and applied mindfulness in their lives. And it was very personal, and people kind of told their personal stories, and it really resonated with the audience. So that was a very positive experience, and I saw the evaluations, and they were really, really quite positive. And then we went to the 10th Circuit, which was a very different place. I mean, it's the middle, it's the other mountain states basically, and Kansas and Oklahoma. And I think we had a Supreme Court justice in the room, and we did our presentation. We had one of the top aides to the Chief Justice in the room, and we did the presentation. And so, oh my God, but it actually was quite, again, well received. And I think the thing that really surprised me at that particular conference was that we said, if you want to know more about this, we're going to have an optional practice session tomorrow morning at 7:30. And so I went, and it was actually one of your friends and colleagues at Nishi Jha was there with me, and we woke up. We got there at 7:30, so we might have 5 people. Well, there's like about 40 people in the room, and there's a lot of interest. We want to know more about this, and what's it like. And I saw some people who'd been at that session at a different conference a couple of years later. So I've been meditating. I'm not doing it every day, but I'm trying real hard to do it with some regularity, and it's making a real difference. So it's just kind of it just, I think if you can present it in a way that's accessible to people, and then they give it a try, I think a lot of people find it very helpful. Yeah. Not everybody, but I mean, I think it's mostly like just getting in the door. And then I got a little bit more comfortable. So now I think I actually got around to most of the circuits, and I've been working some now with state courts and doing presentations for state judiciaries.
That's,
So it's been a very positive experience.
yeah, you and I got to see each other at the First Circuit a
Right,
couple years ago,
right.
which was a very wonderful opportunity to come together. And that was a bench and bar. So it was one
Bench
of
bar.
those conferences,
Right,
and the mindfulness was specifically offered to the judges after the. So it was very much a serious conversation and exploration for the judges.
right, right. And I think in general, uh, there are certainly skeptics. I can think of a couple that I've talked with, but I think if you make clear that it really is just a tool you can use to get yourself to a place that you yourself want to be, that it's not getting yourself to a place that someone else wants you to be, I think that's a big part of it. It's like it's the notion, and that's why I always talk about it in a practical way, because I think that's what's going to work. I think otherwise it gets confused with, well, but I run, or I ride my bike, or when I go to church on Sunday, this is what I do. It's like you get lots of different responses from people, and I think the more you can just say, no, this is actually just a way of sort of regulating what's coming in and going out, and what's there, so that you can be more present. I think that's something people understand.
Yes, especially when somebody who has experience like you, who's been practicing, and who, as you said, and, for better or for worse, people do take note of when somebody is worth taking note of.
Yeah, exactly.
Those things all come to play. At the First Circuit conference, Justice Stephen Breyer, who's been quoted for years of saying something along the lines of, I sit quietly for 10 to 15 minutes a day and think of nothing or as little as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him to be more specific. Is there anything else that he does? And he shared that he counts down, and said it was fine to share with others, that he part of his thing is he counts backwards in French, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he says he does that. And what's fascinating is this is a concentration practice that he
Sure.
has somehow developed himself, right? A creative thing that resonates with him, but concentrating the mind, steadying attention, and breathing about a more steady state.
Yeah. No, it's the French counting is his mantra, and I mean, we'll talk about my own practice a little later, but I mean, mine's not that different. I mean, I don't count backwards in French, but I just have chimes, that go off at particular points, and it is just for the purpose of that kind of concentration.
That's right.
So